I feel that other people interpret my race, people that don't know me and just would see me as Asian, because I'm obviously more Asian looking than I am white. And I don't like that though, because for me I self-identify more as being white just because of the life that I've lived being around more white people and everything, and that really bugs me though, because I'm really proud of my Caucasian side too. Like, I'm Irish, and with St. Patrick's Day coming up I get really excited about that, because my family, my mom's side, who is white, really are proud Irish people, and I love celebrating the holiday. And people kind of look at me funny though, like, what are you, you're Asian and you're going to be celebrating St. Patrick's Day, you're not Irish. And it's like I sit there and fight with them and tell them, yeah, I am, and I hate that. I hate that people just look at me and assume, just not good.
Like I said, most people perceive that I'm just white, and that bothers me because I do not want to, omit the other side of who I am. I easily could do it. I easily could have done it when I moved from Los Angeles to St. Cloud, and said, oh yeah, I'm just white. Even though people saw my father at the grocery store, I wasn't somebody you see in school every day, and just going, so I guess it is a complicated situation, but I mean, it's important for me to identify, and it's important for other people to know I am, because that's who I am. And if you try to say I'm one or the other, that just wouldn't be, including half.
I was talking about that today when I was looking over the questions. Another one of my friends said she didn't see being biracial as like a race in itself. So I guess like her interpretation was like how other groups of races would see you. Like I guess her interpretation of my race is I'm seen as black by white people and I'm seen as white by black people, but there is no blending, I guess, like you said, of the race in her interpretation at least. But in terms of like, again, it's my comfort level with the people. I know like once people become, I don't know, when they actually speak to biracial people or I guess talk about it and stuff, they realize that, I don't know, I guess they just get a better understanding from the perspective of someone who is biracial. But in terms of like people's general interpretations,
I guess I get mixed reactions. A lot of people think that I'm sort of a Latino background or Hispanic background. Otherwise, I get Arabic background too. So I think it really usually depends on where I am in the world, is what people think I am. But I think it's usually pretty open. Like I've never gotten somebody sees me and knows right then like that I'm biracial.
Yeah, people interpret my race as white. They assume, I guess, that I'm just a white girl that grew up in African American neighborhoods, or that is trying to be black, or is trying to be something I'm not. Especially when I tell them that I'm multiracial, they're like, no, you're not, or not so. And I hate to. I'm not trying to stereotype this. But this is just what's true for my life. It's not so much in the city that this happens, it's in the small towns I've been to that this has happened. People think that I'm making it up. So in the cities, when I tell people, I'm multiracial, they're like, that's awesome, your dad's from Egypt, that's so cool, And people in the smaller towns, or that come from smaller towns, are like, really, you don't look it, I don't really believe you. And then another thing is, I find it hard to be accepted by members of one of the groups that I belong to fully. Like, people that are from the Egyptian community don't see me as Egyptian, and people from the white community, they see me as a white person, but I don't act white, so they don't really identify me as white. So it's like they can't really put me into a box, which I like, but then again, it's like hard to find acceptance. So that's why you steer towards, I guess, people of all different racial backgrounds.
I think like most people like see me on campus that they interpret me to be like more African American. I don't think they see the Native American in it too much. Like they probably perceive me more that way when they see me. That's how they react to seeing me. It's kind of like stereotypical.
Whenever somebody sees me, I know they think I'm 100% black because you can't see the 50% on me that I'm white because, you know, I could just be a light-skinned black person. So, I mean, once people actually sit and look at me, sometimes they can tell I'm white because of my nose. But other than that, they just think I'm a normal black person.
I would say that people have always, the weirdest thing is that people have never ever been able to guess my race. Just, you know, they're like, so what are you? And nobody ever knows what I am. And in truth, it's very hard to explain because my mother is, I say, okay, well, my mother is Italian, but she's Chilean. She's Chilean culturally. Our family's been in South America for generations, but we're Italian blood. My father is African American, and he's very, very, very dark, but who would believe that his great-great-grandfather was a white guy, and he has a lot of Native American ancestry as well. So my mother as well has a little bit of Native American ancestry, other Spanish, Argentinian, lots of crazy stuff. And I've gotten like things like, somebody asked me one time if I was Vietnamese, people I always get like, are you Cuban, are you Puerto Rican? Now I'm getting, are you mixed, you know, that stuff too, but it's like people, and I find it interesting, everyone always wants to know like where to place you, where to categorize you, as though somehow that's going to make them understand like everything about you. And it really doesn't at all, because there's other girls that I know that are mixed black and white, and I've never met anybody else that has my particular mixture, but sometimes you have the girl that's mixed with black and white, and she is, you know, as black culturally as she could be. And then you have the other girls that's, you know, as white culturally as she can be, and it's just, you know, it's crazy to me, but people are always dying to know, like, what are you? It's intense, I don't know.
No.
Anyway, I think there are advantages and disadvantages. It definitely does not make no difference in my life. It makes a difference. The advantages are I can identify in different ways with a different group of people, and I can identify with biracial people in general, no matter what their race is, because we have a different perspective and we know what it's like to be outside of, I guess, the racial purity idea. And the disadvantage is that people are so confused and like put off by the idea of somebody being biracial, and they're just kind of like, the biggest thing is that, in my opinion, is that they deny half of who you are by what color your skin is. And to me, the biggest thing that's going on in my head right now is with Barack Obama and how everybody's saying he's the first black president. And that really, really bugs me, because I think they should be saying he's the first biracial president. And it feels like America's denying half of his identity, and I feel like that's what happens to biracial people, is that they take your primary skin color and they say that's what you are. And so if I came out a little bit tanner, I would be Egyptian. But since I came out lighter, I'm white. But my brother came out darker, so people look at him as a black man instead of a mixed man. And he even identifies himself as a black man, and I think that's because of the influence society has. I don't think it's something that he just personally decided to do.
I think being biracial has some advantages and some disadvantages. I think one of the advantages is you get to learn about 2 different cultures, and you get to explore more. Like my German side, my aunt made a book of where my family is from in Germany, what we did, what we were taught to do, and how the family generation has broken down and things like that. And my black side, of course, you get to learn about, you know, the positives and the negatives and the struggles that we come through as a culture. So I mean, it's just one thing that you get to learn and explore. I think one of the negative sides is that when you're younger, because when I was growing up, I didn't know as many biracial people, so it's harder to identify yourself with somebody like you. So I think that's one of the negatives. And then, but now that there's more and more, you know, biracial kids growing up, it's not going to be as hard for the next generation.
In terms of advantages and disadvantages, I definitely think, I don't know, I think there are. Probably some of the disadvantages from my perspective is people are constantly questioning my racial identity, and I was asking me, what are you, like stuff like that. And like sometimes even when I'll tell them what I am, they won't believe me, which is that's weird to me. So I guess some disadvantages would just be, yeah, I'm constantly being questioned, I guess. And I don't know, because like personally I'm proud of being biracial and stuff, and sometimes I guess I let people know that. And I don't know, some of my friends, like regardless of whether or not I've spoken in that way, they feel like, well, some of my, they'll feel like I have I don't know, like almost feel like superior, I guess, because I'm not exactly even sure why. But I guess that'd be a disadvantage as well, 'cause like, I guess just being prejudged because I am biracial. Advantages, I don't know, I think it's just having like pride in my culture and stuff, and I think that's the same for every race. And just, I don't know, being able to be who I am. And some people may say, I guess that an advantage would be being able to, I guess, go back and forth, which isn't always the case, but I guess that could be an advantage as well.
I'd say that being biracial has many advantages, many disadvantages. It definitely makes a difference in my life. That being said, I wouldn't change it for the world. I love the fact that I am me. But I definitely say that it's interesting, very interesting, and it's an interesting position to be in. I'd say that some of the disadvantages are never fully fitting into one group. So I can flow, like I was saying before, I can flow in and out of groups a little more easily than certain people could of a single race. But I would say that it's like, kind of like, what animal can I think of? I don't know, a frog who's, you know, in water, in land, can go back and forth, but you know, where does he really belong? Nobody knows. So that's one of the things I'd say. Also, I'd say culturally, just in the United States, the interesting thing I find myself in is like lighter skin has always been highly valued by the law, period. But I've never really embraced that, and I always, for some reason, I've always wanted to be darker and be accepted as being black. And I think that like a lot of people still see this light skin as being something that's like to be worshipped and something that's so great. And there's a lot of guys that I know, that I knew in high school, and know still now, that would maybe they wouldn't date white girls, but wouldn't date black girls, or they would date mixed girls, because like, okay, she's black, but she's light, so which automatically, of course, would make somebody cute. And I don't know, I just always thought it was the weirdest thing, because it's like, you want me and hate me for the same reason. And I don't know, it's just an interesting position to be put in, just all the baggage that comes along with certain things. And it's like, well, do you accept that? Do you reject it? I don't know. I have to say that I have used my skin color in the past to get myself ahead in certain places. And, you know, I guess I have to live with that. But it's definitely just, it's a weird place to be.
An advantage, I would say, would be, it's gonna make me sound really conceited kind of, but people are always telling me, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty, I wish, you know, I could be biracial or multiracial like you, and you're so exotic looking, and I absolutely hate when people say that though, but I get that all the time, so I guess that could be considered an advantage. A disadvantage would just be being biracial itself, because I feel uncomfortable sometimes, like when I'm in a room with all white people and there's like maybe a few Asian kids there, and they're like, why is she sitting with all the white kids, not the Asian kids? And they just kind of put me in those groups, and it makes me feel really self-conscious too and really uncomfortable because I don't know what they're thinking about me. One recent story I have was I went out to a place back in my hometown in Wisconsin, and it was like this hick place with all white people, and there was no other diverse groups whatsoever there, and I felt really uncomfortable and really self-conscious because I felt like everyone was kind of looking at me and talking about me, and for the first probably like half an hour of being there, I was just wanting to like run out of there because I felt I was, everyone was just kind of looking down at me, so I guess that's a big disadvantage.
I would say it depends, I guess. I consider it an advantage just because it gives me two perspectives. I mean, my mother and my father come from completely different backgrounds, so I kind of get a sense of like, I'm a little more moderate about all the things I think because they're so different, and to me, trying to reconcile that. So I think it's an advantage most of the time.